Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
You don't.
And your old man didn't influence you in any way?
No.
I look at it as it can't be too bad. He's gonna be treating him pretty good because he's staying around. He's still here. He's still-
I'm looking good, right?
Hey, the other way to look at it, Joe, we can't afford to leave.
No, that's right.
I
I
think
don't
he
even
said
know.
staying around,
How do you
not
get on the
staying
county?
around.
All right,
All right,
sorry. Go ahead.
before I lose control of the meeting altogether, let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about, which is the shellfish.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a proposed contract?
Well-
Have a chance to look it over?
I've looked it over, and the only thing that I think, the only bug that I think needs to be worked out is the budget. Because obviously, you know, this was based off West Bass contract with the department. And they penciled in $15,000, so obviously, you know, we have to just tweak that to whatever our budget is, and maybe stipulate something in there about the budget being a little bit of a fluctuation. Hopefully, at some point, we'd be able to get it more stabilized than it is now.
I would just comment on that what West Bath did, because they haven't had any expenditures this fiscal year because of the switch. So they just took what was appropriated at that town meeting last May, effective, July 1st, and then that's the figure that they put it in.
It's done somewhere.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't know if that.
Do you know how much money we have in our shellfish account?
Well, isn't that a discussion, so that's a discussion we still have ongoing with the auditors, right?
Yes, because they're convinced that we didn't have any money left in there, except like $300, but she's saying that we rolled it over. So, we should have like
That's right,
$3,400.
Almost $3,500. So Dave, if you recall, a couple of years ago, we had almost $3,500 and we wanted it carried forward. They never did, but we're gonna have to really bend on them when they come.
Yeah.
Because that's that money I keep thinking that we have.
Right.
So anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so about 34, a little over 3,400.
I believe there's 4 of us that have bought our licenses this year, so that should be in addition.
That would be an addition,
In addition to
yes.
that, yep.
If we had to, before we get that straightened out with the auditors, we could use our contingency to start the ball rolling, right?
Well, we should be meeting soon anyway, right?
And then once we get it straightened out with the auditors, we could reimburse the
Mhm.
contingency out of the shellfish account. I mean, there are ways to do it.
Right.
We don't have a lot of money in the contingency, but I don't think we've spent a lot this year, right?
No,
So what are they, 400 apiece?
Yes.
So we did theoretically $5,000?
No.
No, but 30.
Oh, what would be in the funds?
Yeah, 3416.
It should be
$5,000.
somewhere in that area, but on the same note, though, we had changed our ordinance so that instead of doing conservation time, you can actually buy your conservation time for like a $200 extra fee. Depending on how many hours you put in, it might be deducted some from that, but I did that. I paid like an extra, I think it was $180.
You did, yeah.
Okay.
For just to try to keep money in the till. And I don't think I'm the only one that did that. I think Steve Wackovic did as well, which isn't a lot, but it adds probably an extra $300.
and we had, I believe, a gentleman who isn't grandfathered, and so we did charge him the extra
Okay.
conservation fee. Yeah.
Okay.
And personally, I would like to see us put something on the town meeting warrant to pony up some money. I mean, it is, I realize that what we're gonna hear at town meeting is, well, these guys make a living at it, why should we be subsidizing them? But it is a town resource.
It is a town resource, I agree with you, David.
So I think, I'm not looking at a lot of money, but we can have a discussion between now and then and see. I think we're the only town in the area that doesn't put some money towards the resource. So, I don't think.
Originally, with the Department of Marine Resources allowing towns to have their ordinance, originally it was intended for the towns to be investing into the resource so that they could justify having these things, but they've gotten really laxed on how they, you know, what they do or don't approve, partly because they're not gonna invest any money into it, they don't have any money to invest. So basically, if our town ordinance fails, it's a free-for-all.
Well, I think the only way we're gonna keep the local diggers interested in doing the conservation of the flats is if there is some reward to their work, right? I mean, nobody wants to get out there and put in a lot of time
And watch
seeding
somebody else.
the flats and everything, and if we don't have, legal people down there keeping an eye on it,
Right.
you know, and guys are coming in, you know, just taking what they want and leaving, I mean, you know, where's the incentive for our local guys to work on it to keep it going, you know?
Right.
I mean, I hate to see the town lose this resource.
Yeah.
And there are some people that buy the Peck-a-day license too, you know,
Right,
they just
right.
like to go
How
out
many
and,
people do that?
what's that?
How many people buy the pack a day?
How many, anybody can do it,
It's-
right?
It's not that
Yeah.
many, I think we only allot like 10 or 15 licenses, and we've never sold them all. So it's a pretty small amount, but some people still do come in and buy them.
Yeah.
But I think we do need a certain level of law enforcement, and like Joel and I talked after we left here the last meeting, you know, just them having a presence down near the flats at key times during the tide is going to, you know, it's gonna alert the guys that would bend the rules
Actually, just
to the
know,
prospect of getting a fat fine out of it.
but
I
just
think just having
knowing
the
that.
car in the neighborhood is
Yeah.
gonna be,
Well, yeah.
is gonna be, I mean, that's a billboard, that's a rolling
Yes.
billboard.
Well, think of it this way, it's gonna help the worm problem too, so, even though I know that's not the intent, but obviously it's gonna spill over into all of that.
Exactly.
Anyway.
No, I agree, you know,
Yeah.
with, like trespassing issues and, you know, litter issues down there, they're not as bad as they have gotten from time to time in the past,
Yeah.
but to have a presence down there would help with that as well, you know, and nobody's gonna throw their garbage out
Right.
knowing that a police officer might drive by at the same time. You know, it just puts it in their mind and gives it that presence.
I think having a police officer down there is a great thing, because, I mean, if one of your guys is down there and he sees somebody driving an unregistered vehicle or something, you know, I mean, they're, you know.
Or some other crime.
Or some other crime, you know, he looks in the back
Oh,
of,
wait a minute, is this my road?
looks in the back of some digger's car, and there's a brand new generator there that, you know, doesn't look like it really belongs there, you know, that sort of thing.
Second
you
row on the
know?
left.
I just think the whole thing's a win-win situation,
Yeah.
so.
I had a nice conversation, actually, I met Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a nice conversation with him, he's looking forward to doing that. Do you know him? I forget his
Oh,
last name.
Huntington,
Huntington, yeah.
I recognize the name, but no, I haven't met him.
Nice guy.
You recognize him when you see him. Everybody does.
Yeah.
So
But
then
yeah, I think also just the presence of the sheriff's department down there
Yep.
with the neighborhood will actually boost some spirits a little bit, so I think it's a
Yeah,
lot.
one of the things, Dan, you know, we don't get down like to Brookings Bay or Phipps Point as often as maybe we should or could. But if we got a couple of guys that become dedicated, that kind of becomes their territory, they're gonna be, even when they're on duty, they're gonna be, you know, heading down there. So, you know, just the idea
Yeah.
that that's now your responsibility, they wanna know what's going on, even when they're not working, let's say, for the town of Woolwich.
Yeah.
There's still gonna be a lot of that bleed over, you know.
So what's the hourly rate?
It's gonna be, you know, I'm gonna say roughly around $55 an hour, and that's pay and benefits,
Yeah.
everything, that's.
So the part I didn't get, so what is the, I'm gonna sound stupid, what's the minimum? In other words, are you gonna come for 2 hours, you're gonna come for 1 hour?
Yeah, so.
Or is it gonna be a 4 hour?
Usually with that, it's usually 4 hours, but I
That's-
think, you know, there may be some working around that. And what I mean by that is if these guys are working West Bath as well, instead of spending 4 hours right down in West Bath, they could split that up. And so they're working 4 hours, they're gonna work a couple hours in Woolwich, and work a couple hours in West Bath. And then we'll take care of the billing later, that, you know, it won't look any different on their end.
I believe the total, you know, we sell 7 licenses and it adds up to like $2,800. If we could get a contract started on the $2,800 with the prospect of more money hopefully being contributed into that fund, that would increase the
Well, we're all convinced that you've got $3,400 in your account right now.
right, but annually
Our
we
auditors
take
are
in,
telling you
Yeah.
that, telling us that you don't.
Yeah.
We asked them to roll that forward, so
Right.
there's gotta be a way that, I mean, we'll figure it out.
yeah, but annually, right now,
Yeah.
we take in $2,800, give or take, if we sell all the licenses. So, I mean, that, I think that might be a good starting point.
Yeah, yeah. When's the license renewal timeframe? When is it?
July 1st.
July 1st, okay, so it's fiscal year.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Currently, we don't have 7 licenses.
No, we don't, but there's enough money in the fund to cover the $2,800 if all the licenses sold. And if we had the warden service intact, that would make it more likely for the rest of the licenses to sell and for everybody to renew next year. That's just my thought on it.
Could we allow so many local and so many out-of-town licenses now, right?
Mhm.
Could we increase, could we juggle those numbers some? If
Well, we potentially-
if we don't, what is it, 5 and 2 now,
That's
isn't it?
7 and 1.
7 and 1. Well, if we don't get 7 people in town interested, why couldn't we juggle the numbers and sell, let's say we only sold 5 in town. Why couldn't we
After,
sell 2 out-of-town ones?
I believe after 90 days of of July 1st, when the renewals
Yeah.
come due, I believe after 90 days, anyone, resident or non-resident, can buy them. But
90
it's-
days.
They're just not,
At 90 days, they're only buying a 9-month license.
true, true. But I mean, that is an option for some more license sales at
Would it make
this
sense
point.
to cut that down to maybe 30 days? I mean,
I think 90 days is the state standard,
Oh, is it?
that's what they stipulated with their original model ordinance.
yeah. Could you check and see if we can modify that?
I could, but I mean, that's one of those things that I believe it would have to go through a shellfish meeting and then get referred to you for approval, so,
Right.
that's something we could potentially do.
I'm just looking at it, you know, you'd be ashamed to have the potential to sell 7 licenses and we only sell 5 a year.
Right.
And, you know,
And I don't believe we would have had any trouble selling all 7 licenses this year had we had enforcement in place prior to the license sales going up, because that's what discouraged some of the guys from buying.
and I think it would be an easier sell for you when it comes to conservation if we had law enforcement involved.
Yeah,
Because, I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, you guys aren't gonna wanna bust their butts, you know, hauling baby clams from another town and seeding all these
Well,
with no protection.
either way, if they buy their conservation time rather than take the time to do it, you've got law enforcement to protect their investment as well. So either way, it's the same outcome,
Yeah. Okay.
potentially.
How does the cost of a license in Woolwich compare to local towns around us?
About the same for the most part, but, like, most of the time, like I put in for booth bay license every year, and, it's in a lottery, so you don't always get it, but they charge 400. So it's roughly the same. I think Brunswick is 400. West Bath might be a little bit less, but they have a lot more diggers and they have a lot better, you know, recovery on their resource. I mean, they continually get seed sets almost every year. That's one of the reasons why they were so adamant that they needed enforcement immediately, because they had a lot of people coming down. I mean, there was fist fights on the mud, I guess, and the whole works. And again, it's part of the reason why I stayed off the mud as much as I did this year. It cost myself money, but I don't want the headache of confrontation.
I like Amy's recommendation about the $2,800 and I don't know, I'm trying to catch up here, so do we have to change our ordinance to do this? Are we allowed to do this without, do we have to go to the town at all, or are we
No, we,
allowed to do?
I don't think,
Well, I think, you know, normally the Shellfish Committee would recommend to you that you hire the
Yeah.
sheriff's department, and you do the hiring and firing when it comes to the enforcement, that's not on us.
Yeah. No,
It's just, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, I would recommend that if the sheriff's department is willing to work for the $2,800 to start, with hopes that we can maybe add to that amount of money for the annual funds, I think that would be a positive for us moving forward.
yeah.
Oh, I'm very supportive. I cannot imagine a town meeting if we're, I don't know what kind of money we're talking, adding, you know what I mean, are we doubling it or adding 3 times as much, or?
I would think we should put up a number equivalent to the 7 licenses.
In addition to it.
Would be another 2,800.
Right.
Well,
Another
if
2,800.
we take in 2,800 for license fee and we add to that 2,800,
Yeah.
you know, then you're getting the, you know, $5,600, give or take. And I think that's a better number for the.
Oh, wait, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that would buy us 100 hours, which would give us a guaranteed 2 hours every week.
Yeah, and I-
Basically.
I mean, I was down here earlier today doing some research and stuff that we're working on it, and I had 2 people come up to me about the worm digging problem. One of them was a woman on Hockomock Island.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and
Lisa?
so I don't see this being at all not unsupported. I can't imagine today with presenting.
Well, I think anybody that lives down in that area would support it greatly.
Right, some sort of police, you know, coming once or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems,
Another question.
I mean, you're always gonna get some reluctance whenever you're talking about a dollar amount.
Yeah.
I'm just a monkey in the audience, but my personal opinion would be, it's a great move just to have the police presence for the people. Once they realize the police could be and will be around there, it's gonna make some of the old people feel more defense. So I think there's a little bit of a bounce off here that helps the town aside from this.
And they'll get to know those people, they'll get to know the
I mean, where else,
residents, they'll get to know the.
yeah, where else are we gonna do this today, right? The days have gone by, I mean, so where else can you get fully equipped, fully trained, fully, you know what I mean? And it only makes sense, and it's not a very, I know it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money at all.
so they'll take the training in March?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, they get up for that right now. We're just waiting for that. They can start any day now, they've gotten gear and everything
Okay.
else, and they're waiting to get a response back from the Department of Marine Resources on their waiver.
Okay,
They said it would take a week or 2.
okay, so
So
you don't
I
anticipate any,
anticipate something this week.
okay, so you don't anticipate any problems with that?
Oh, no,
Okay.
oh, none whatsoever.
Okay.
And again, talking with Clint Thompson and our local Marine Patrol, any questions that they have, any issues that come up, they've got his cell phone number, they can call him, he's gonna give them direction and,
Okay,
Because this is a workshop, we cannot make a formal vote on it now, but I'll pencil it in under old business, and I would think that we will go to, just ask Joel to submit us a contract, and we will
Yeah.
get it signed and back to you.
yeah, I would just need it by November, what's the second Tuesday in November?
let's see, that's November 8th.
November 8th.
That's right.
Voting day. We're not gonna get it that day.
As long as I have it before that day, that's all.
We'll draft it up, we'll get it back to you.
Yeah, I just need it before that day, that's when the commissioners meet.
And you're recommending it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was.
They would need their
gonna say.
signature, your
On-
signature,
you know,
my signature, and then
For the
we're
sake
all
of being
good.
official, I think, you know, the Shellfish Committee would recommend that if the sheriff's department is willing to work for the $2,800 a year,
Yeah.
I would recommend that we hire them with this contract, with that dollar amount, you know, penciled in and, you know, under hope that we can add to those funds.
Well, I'll try my best at town meeting to get it far.
Why don't I send you a written up agreement
Okay,
and modify everything to the town of Woolwich, and then you can have it for board purposes.
okay.
Right. We'll vote today to make it official that we want that. And then as soon as we get it on our next meeting, which is,
November 7th.
Yeah, it's too late.
So, just curious, once you're contracted with them for the $2,800,
Yeah.
if in fact we are able to get some more money from the town, is that something you guys can just pencil in down the road, or is that another bunch of meetings?
once,
to
if
get
it passes the
finalized?
town meeting, we can't spend it until July
First,
1st.
anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine, I just wondered if, if we had to go through the whole meeting process again.
No, once they, if they pass it at town meeting, we don't have those funds until July 1st,
Okay,
okay? But,
We're gonna use some of the money we have there currently.
but we also think that we have $3,400 already that we can add to your 2,800, so.
I already brought that up to Dee.
now was that
Convinced that we have.
3,400 prior to the licenses that were sold this year?
Exactly.
So we actually have.
You have over
So
5,000.
we asked to have that carry forward, and they,
Yeah.
for some reason, they lapsed it. But I think we can recover it, out of undesignated surplus.
Yeah. that would
Because you
be-
probably can't get audited by anybody else but the auditors.
Right, so I mean, it's not sleight of hand or anything, the money was there, we asked them, we asked them to carry that forward, and they, for some reason, misunderstood and lapsed it, so put it in undesignated surplus, so I don't think it's a stretch to take it back out of undesignated surplus and put it back
That's
into.
that's exactly all you're doing.
That's all we're doing.
They put it in
That's
there,
We
you
just
take it,
take
put it back
we
out.
took it out of our left pocket, put it in our right pocket, now we
Exactly.
wanna put it back in our left pocket.
Exactly.
And it's just, but it's one of those things, you have to get the blessing of the auditors to do it, to make it legal, so.
So in theory, if we put $4,500 towards it, we get 81 hours, which would be 9 hours per month, which if it's 2 hours each time, you could do it 4 times a month,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
which is probably once a week.
Yeah.
you're also gonna have some months where there's not gonna be a whole lot going on.
Right.
When you get
Obviously,
there.
yeah.
Winter months when
Right.
the flats are frozen,
Right.
there's not gonna be a need.
Right.
Right, once the flats start to freeze, there probably isn't a lot of digging going on, is there?
Well, there is, but, it depends on if we get a deep freeze or not. I mean, this Montsuet Bay and Brookings Bay will freeze right across if it's cold enough. Sometimes it freezes across and it'll break out a week later. You just never know.
Yeah.
Our winters are just not,
Predictable.
they've never been predictable,
Yeah.
but we don't get big ice every year like we did from time to time years
Well,
ago.
if the amount of acorns in my lawn means anything, we're in for a doozy. That's what
It'll be a hard winter if that's the case, but it's probably necessary
Yeah, right.
and helpful.
Or, so why can't the contract just have the hourly rate, not a limit of, no limit either way, just have it,
Well, I think you have to cap it with the amount of money that the town has to spend, because we don't want
Right.
the sheriff's department to exceed it.
No,
And
no.
then we have to find out a way to make up for it with the town.
yeah, I
So
get
that
that
was
part.
my only thought.
I just wasn't thinking, I was thinking like sort of like what we used to do with John, he would turn his hours in, and we're like, okay, look how much money that's, and we'd kind of figure out the demands.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that, for simplicity of adding more money to it,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So if we did come up with another $1,000
You,
bucks.
I think if you went this route, you would have some, data to look at.
Yeah.
You know, have some idea.
I think John had done it for enough years between all the towns that he knew how to shuffle his time around.
Yeah.
And, he wasn't a sheriff as well, so it was a lot easier for him to pin down where he was gonna be and when he was gonna be.
Yeah.
So what I was getting at though is, can we vote to have you sign the contract, and then do we have to do it in another meeting, or do we?
We'd have to do that during our regular meeting.
We can do it now.
We can do that.
No, right,
We
but
can
we
do that
Yeah.
after 6 o'clock.
Right, you were talking about approving it at the next meeting, but like, we can vote to have you sign it tonight when it's ready. And if you get it ready in a week, or,
Okay.
right, we don't have to have another meeting, right? That's what I was trying to
So
do.
if we just penciled in the $2,800, the contract as it sits, with the exception of that dollar amount is acceptable?
Is that what we want to do, just put it
That's all we would have, well, are you reasonably confident we can get the 3,400?
Guys have to do.
Well, but it's really, right, but that's my point though, it's really 34 plus, we should have over $5,000.
So why don't,
With what's in there now,
why don't we,
yes.
Which I'm not trying to say we spend.
Joel, if we had a contract that said between now and July 1st, we can have $3,400, that'd be
Yeah,
acceptable?
that would be fine,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So let's go with the $3,400 number, we know we got that. And then, we'll see how many licenses we sell.
Yeah, and I'll, once, this is done, I'll pitch it to Timmy. I think Timmy would probably buy his license again. I think he got discouraged with the politics that was going on at the meetings and, being threatened to be punched and things like that.
Tell you,
Those are the
if you guys-
selfish-
if you guys-
Yeah, nobody's gonna check me.
If any of you ever wanted it to attend an interesting meeting, come with me to the shelter.
Interesting, that's a good way to.
Maybe we should have Al come to the
I
meeting.
know.
Yeah, right. Might not be that bad.
Just don't come if you're sensitive.
Well, hopefully we can curb that attitude some, but I'm not really holding my breath.
Is your shellfish conservation ordinance, is that online?
It should be, I'm sure.
I believe it's online, if not, we can certainly get your copy. I'll-
Yeah, that's
Before you leave, we get your copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is online.
Shellfish out. Maybe
It's-
it should
well,
be
let's
in the
find out.
ordinance.
That's what, are you looking at one?
That's what the deputies would be enforcing, so.
Yeah,
You know.
and I don't know how similar it is to West Bass, but I don't think any of them are like a long stretch away from
I'm
each
sure
other.
the department had a model policy.
Yeah, they did. Originally, the department made a model ordinance,
Yeah.
and the towns that originally had the ordinances, all the other towns that did it afterwards kind of fell into place with what they already had.
No need to reinvent the wheel, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Try to keep it as simple as we can.
There are some,
anyway.
there are
Be
some.
there.
So we're gonna.
It's enough of a job without
Well,
having to jump through the meetings.
Yeah.
We need to be following.
You know, Brunswick might have.
David, the only point I was,
Well, definitely.
difficult,
They're really into the
we put it
conservation
especially
part.
here.
When they're gonna close down,
Yeah.
you know, how they're gonna
If you
reseed
want it,
and all
yeah.
It
that.
says if
Of course,
you're
you know,
following. is the-
Brunswick, you've
I
got
am.
a couple of
That's
flats
what I
over
said.
there that you could
Okay,
fit.
that's what I was trying to get
Tim's
at.
catching
Well,
up.
I'm trying to tell you, yeah, Jim, you got it right.
Not much more extensive.
No, yeah, so,
Well,
So Joel, we do have it online.
It's online?
It's not
Yeah,
a-
it's right under resources.
Under
And
resources?
then,
Okay, all right, fine, okay.
Links and,
well, we
yeah.
could start our meeting, we could close the workshop right now and start our
Okay,
meeting.
well, yeah.
yeah, so we have an ordinance
Start
that
our
we can start our
but
meeting.
What we should do is we should just pick the things that nobody's gonna show up for here,
Right.
okay? You wanna do that? Let's close the workshop
All right,
and I'll start the meeting.
all right,
So
here
we're
we go.
going to the pledge of
So we
allegiance.
do the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah, let's
So we start the meeting now?
Let's start the meeting.
Thank you for showing up, Roger.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay? First order of business tonight is the vote on signing the shellfish contract with the Saginaw County Sheriff's Department. Motion would be in order,
So move.
Second.
okay? Any discussion thereof? Then none, those in favor? Okay? So just prepare it for one signature and I'll sign it when it gets in.
Great, thank you.
Good, all right. Get back to the office. Print that off.
Thank you very
Absolutely,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
And thanks for
Yes,
catching
thank
that,
you.
Jason.
I appreciate the time you guys put in.
No, thank you.
All right? I think we do the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting and the approval of the bank reconciliation
Reconciliation.
and the taxes by the vice chairman. Okay, so motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on 10/3/2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, those in favor? Okay. Obviously, we can't do public comments, but we can do selectmen's comments.
What about the?
Yeah,
the
we're gonna do
bank?
the bank reconciliation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, banker.
Yep, so Kim, why don't you go ahead, so Kim prepares this every month and.
Quarter, we go over
Depends on
this.
what it is, whether
Yes.
it's the real estate taxes or whether it's the bank
Yes.
reconciliation.
I
so-
was waiting on the auditors because June was a little tricky, so, we got the June statement done, and we're all good to go. We balance, things are good.
Okay.
And then, Candace prepared the tax statements, and we're all set with that.
Have taxes started coming in?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, very much so,
yes.
very
Yeah.
much so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
inundated with them. So everything's good to go. We're not, our tax statements matches our cash flow, and our cash flow is looking really nice.
Okay, motion to have the vice chairman sign those documents.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor?
Kim, prepare those for my signature.
Okay.
All right, selectmen's comments. Alan?
So I attended the Maine Municipal Association convention this year, and a couple things, and Kim will help me with this one. One of the sessions that we both went to was talking, and we're supposed to talk to our legislator about this new tax credit that people are taxable.
Tax freeze?
Yeah.
Tax stabilization.
Yeah, MMA certainly didn't have anything good to say.
Dave Duford does not like you.
Yes.
I didn't vote for this.
Yes.
They really, they think it's gonna change. They do not like it, they don't think it's right, and there's no way to manage it. There's no way it's gonna be done. But the only reason that it's staying there is because it's a election year, and they think a lot of it was done because they wanna get it in place quickly before the elections came out. They think it's gonna be changed considerably afterwards, and we're supposed to talk to our representative about that so that they can help fix it. But they basically said it's a piece of crap the way it is now, there's no way to do it, right?
Yes,
Essentially.
yes.
Well, there's no reimbursement funds from the state.
Yeah,
It-
even that, there's no way to manage it, like they said, there's nothing in place, is it possible for the administrators or
Yeah.
managers of the town to manage it?
Yeah.
Because they don't have things in place to keep track and manage it.
Not only that, but an awful lot of people have already figured out they can go up country, they can buy a dilapidated mobile home, the taxes are $288 a year on,
Yes.
claim that as their residence for 1 year,
Yeah,
transfer that down to their $1.3 million waterfront home,
Yeah.
and the taxes on that $1.3 million home are $288 a year.
yeah, there's a lot of.
And with no reimbursement from the state, and that's perfectly legal to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have been talking to people and say, look, we all agreed, right, a couple of months ago, this was, we support the idea. I have told people that it is an administrative nightmare
Mhm.
for towns and town officials, and that's something that will change. I've told them the same thing. The reason it's not gonna happen until January is that the legislature's not in session, and so the bill is, so we don't start, and we wouldn't start until January. So, yes, I expect that there will be a number of bills submitted
If they
to.
really wanted to do something for the seniors, why not give the seniors an extra homestead exemption?
That's what we had that discussion when we went to the county.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Topsom town manager was talking about that, and it wasn't even their idea, it was just on the listserv, and somebody said, why don't they do it like a homestead?
Yeah.
And, and then it's there every year, and you don't have to reapply.
Right,
Right,
right.
and make it state reimbursable.
With simple math, it's
Right.
all-
You know.
Well, and then it's even across the board, because,
Right.
it's
yeah.
gonna benefit the wealthy more than anything, because
The
if it's gonna
stabilization.
stabilize your taxes, somebody who owns a $10,000 mobile home, they're not gonna save anything.
Right.
So,
Right. You
I
just
don't know,
said-
and it's just very confusing, because the question I asked still made no sense whatsoever to me.
no,
And they answered it, and everybody was looking at me, did you understand my question?
yes, I did.
And I'm like, I don't get it. So, They, what's Peter Lacy from MMA, not MMA, but
MRS.
from Maine Revenue was there, and he's saying that it is going to freeze your 2022 taxes. Whereas right here in Maine Legal Services says it's 2023 taxes. So there is so much confusion out there. And I tried to tell them that we have a lot of people, you don't have to have the homestead in order to qualify for this. But because people are applying for this, they're now applying for the homestead. Well, the homestead won't go into effect until 2023. But they're gonna freeze your 2022 taxes, so they're gonna be paying a higher amount for the 2022. I said this right in the seminar, and everybody's looking at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, I don't get it. So, yeah, this is the
Well,
dumbest
whole-
bill I've
the whole
ever
thing
seen.
is definitely a can of worms.
Dumbest bill.
I mean, the only scary thing about them, even doing the an additional homestead for people over 65, and I'm well over 65, so I'm cutting my own throat here, is that it took the state 25 years to finally fund education at 55%. And then, they're not really funding 55% of the cost of education. They're funding 55% of what they say we should be able to run the schools.
Right,
Essential
yes,
services and
yeah,
programs, right? Which is actually probably 2/3 of what we spend on the actual education of our children. So technically, they can brag about giving us 55% of the cost of education, but they're actually only giving us probably 35 or 40% of the cost of the education.
This is true, but
If you did the math.
each school district will be different, right? I mean,
Right.
the local cost
Right.
of RC1 is gonna be different from the AOS 98.
Right, but it took them 25 years to finally fund that at the rate they said they would. So it gripes me when they bump the homestead exemption up, but don't give us 100% of it, because
But we
the
have.
local mill rate is affected by that, right? I mean, we lower everybody's assessment by 27,000, whatever the number is, $27,000, but they're only reimbursing us 75% of that. So 25% of that is coming, we have to raise the mill rate to
Right.
make up that 25%.
But
So
that
it's a sleight of hand. It's like going to one of those games at the carnival where the guy hides the pill under the shell.
In the state's
you know?
defense, they have increased that reimbursement share over
Yeah,
the
they
years.
have.
Yeah,
It used to be 50%,
right, I know, yeah.
which, you know, I mean, they take $1 off your taxes, but we have to raise 50% of it with a mill rate, give you the $1 off the taxes. Well, now they take $1 off your taxes, but we have to raise 25 cents of it to, you know, I mean, it's bogus.
The other thing I was gonna add with the MMA is that you might remember that I urged everybody to vote for Amanda Campbell from Georgetown as this district's representative to the Legislative Policy Council, and she got elected. So I think
Excellent.
we have a local voice in that.
And she's very shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else, Alan?
Yeah, the other one that I went to, another session I went to, we talked about the broadband, what's going on in the state. It's actually very good, a lot of stuff that I learned from that. I got some stuff to give to the communications committee, some bunch of information, so I kept a copy of that, and I'll give it to those guys or to Tom. But it is interesting that the direction they're going for the broadband and what some of the, it was interesting because we had a couple people there that have actually completed that whole process and what they ended up doing and the options that are available. It's also, you know, all these places are doing it without spending money. It's not one of these things everybody worries about, that you're gonna end up having to spend money to do this thing. They're able to do it with other ways of doing it. And the state is very heavily funded right now, as long as you don't wait too long. But the state is very heavily funded. I mean, we've got the, what do you call it, the initial thing that we did to do the survey or the research into a plan was paid for, and the costs associated with actually doing it, a lot of that's going to be paid for. Then the systems, how they go about doing it, what they recommend doing. But what's good about it, it's not just broadband for people, but it's the entire town. Their plan is not just to get it to people that have it already. The idea is to get it to everybody in town, so everybody would have it. And all the towns, or a few towns, very few towns have actually done it. All the ways, a lot of them in the middle of doing it, but in all cases, plan is everybody in town will get it. You know, you're not supposed to single it out.
Actually, related, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Before I leave tonight, I need the young fellow's name and phone number that's working on that broadband for us. I was called today by a representative of, not Comcast, who is it? Consolidated.
Yeah.
Consolidated.
Oh, was it Barry Todd?
Yes, Barry
Yeah.
called me. And he was saying that this Axiom, we want to make sure that if we sign a contract with this Axiom, that they have emergency services backup, because he said that they don't. He said, and he said, you know, we want to make sure that whoever we get linked up with has the people and the backing if there's a major storm and everything goes haywire, you know, that they have the wherewithal to, you know, come in and correct it.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with Barry this morning about the same thing.
Yeah.
And I had already been kind of clued into some of the challenges.
I told Barry I'd get him, what's his name, Evan?
Evan.
I told him I'd get him Evan's name and phone number.
I looks like I'm already, you know.
There were several vendors there from different broadband
Companies.
providers,
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
A couple were very disappointed when they found out it was from Woolwich and they didn't get the job. Yeah, we bid on that, but we didn't hear anything from them.
Well, and someone kind of, sorry, can you read? What, come on.
What, okay, the buffalo with the arrow pointed towards the giraffe, what does that mean?
Actually, one of the nice things about Consolidated is that they own half the poles. One of the problems in Georgetown has been getting permission to hang the fiber on poles, and Consolidated owns about 50% of our poles.
Well, while I had Barry on the phone, I twisted his arm about no cell phone coverage in the north end of town, and he said that he knows the people to talk to about that, and he will call them. And I also bent his arm about no battery backup, and we lose our landlines in town, and he said he could do something about that as well. So
They have started doing something right up front of my house. There's a pole that they put a generator at,
yeah,
Yeah, it feeds the voltage.
so that helps.
he said that they are trying to work on getting more batteries out in, so that the phones will stay up at least for, I think he said 72 hours or something before the batteries go dead.
For like the 5 landlines that still exist.
Okay,
Right.
anything else, Alan?
So I reached out to, we had that discussion at the last meeting about doing sort of a spot assessment, reval, like what Dresden had done. And I heard back actually from Peter Lacy and said that some assessors can do this, where they increase everyone's assessment by a certain percentage. And then goes on to say that they are, that they are allowed, they're not required, but they are allowed at the discretion of the assessor. And so I wrote back and asked about, well, how is that fair? And he said, assessors should generally not be increasing individual property values as a result of sales. They should be doing, if you have you got a building permit for an addition or a garage or whatever, can be making those adjustments. But they generally should not be doing it on the basis of sales. In other words, you buy a house at the market price, but your assessment would stay what it has been. But he did point out that he said, a market adjustment is not a replacement for a revaluation. And that's not, because he pointed out, he acknowledged the inequity in all of this. So it is allowed.
But it's not a proper way to do it.
It's not, no, I mean, I wouldn't support doing it. I had a conversation with Juanita about it, and we didn't.
You go up 10% on a mobile home that hasn't had anything done to it in 20 years, the mobile home may be worth less than it was the last time the reval was done, right?
That's the case in point.
And now, in this case, you're increasing the guy's taxes by 10%, when actually a reval would probably lower his taxes 10%. And it's just not, I would be totally opposed to doing that, to just pick a number out of the air and say, yep, let's just make everything 10% higher, I just would be totally against that.
So,
Come on
anyway.
in, welcome.
Hey.
Boy, full house tonight.
Well, we started early because,
You awake?
Pretty much.
Okay, anything else, Allison? Dale?
I'm all set.
Oh, I got quite a few things. Where do you want to start? Okay, so last week the state came down, John Knoll came to inspect the park. Everything's good down there, they're very happy with the park. We do have to have those 2 floats in the spring. The 2 6x16 floats are in the plan. It was approved, so Kim, I need to thank Kim, she's got to put together a whole bunch of paperwork that they need. For instance, they want a letter from the town saying that the floats will be deployed in the spring of '23. While I'm on that real quick, David, you had offered to volunteer to help build possibly the floats over the winter. And Matt Gagnon actually reached out because he's getting ready to pick the floats up. He saw it and had some questions. He said, look, I'll build them for free, the town wants to buy the materials, so I told him to call you at some point.
That'd be great.
that'd be great.
So what he asked though was, and I did reach out to the Parks Department, Folk Division, whatever. He wanted, some plans, so they did email them to me. I did email them to him. I sent them to you too, but they have to be built the same way that the other ones are and match up. So the original application did say 6x16. So anyway, so he's willing to do it too, or whatever. Outside of that, everything looks fine down there. Kim's got a bunch of stuff to submit. It looks like we will get the full 15,000 of the grant. It was 14 and some change, but the costs are much higher than probably they would have been 2 or 3 years ago when we started this. So we're gonna get the full 15. We have our matching money. We're gonna still be short some, just so you know. But Kim and I talked about the town meeting. Do you remember the town meeting that we approved to spend ARPA money on certain things? And we don't even have to deal with this now, but at some point we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna pay for the materials for the floats and the overages.
You don't think that the sort of broad language that we use covers that?
I do, and I'm also curious, this month we're supposed to hear something from the county. I'm not optimistic, but they promised in October, well, anything's anything. So, finishing up on the park.
Any idea how much we're gonna be short?
Well, right now we're overdrawn anyway, obviously, and the job was 25,000, right?
Mhm.
So they're giving us 15, there's 10. We can only kick in 5, it's a 75-25 grant, it wasn't 50-50. So we can only take 5 from the matching grant article, right? So that gets us to 20, so now we're still short 5, plus the engineering costs that we had with Pine Tree, plus there's no money for materials for floats, or the sign, or whatever, so I don't know, how much do you want to spend? But David, I have no idea what the float material is.
At some point in time, we've got to figure that out.
We do.
Then we'll figure out how we're gonna come up with the money. And
Right.
I think the language in the opera request was broad enough that it would allow us to take some money from the opera money.
I agree. She read the warrant article the other day. I know we did a specific one later for like the culverts or this or whatever else we did. But this, it covered, there were examples in it and it, so anyway, I also have sent a picture of the sign that's down there that's not good. To the sign company that did the one at the cemetery, no promises, just to get a budget number of what it would cost for next spring. Because if and he made a couple suggestions, if the park is called Nequasset Park, then at the bottom, we could possibly do the dedication to Joan Jordan or whatever, without renaming the park though.
Right.
Like he seems to be pretty familiar with the
Can
property.
you just, estimate, how much of the opera money do we have left?
She knows exactly.
We went, 219,000 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was 160 something, right?
Oh, after the culvert.
No,
Excuse me, the readout, Just the 160?
It was 160 something, but then I think we're not done with the culverts yet, right? It's well over 100,000.
Right, it's well over
It's
100.
well over 100,000. It's after the revale money, after the
There would
culverts.
be enough there, if we needed
Oh, yeah, there's
15 or
plenty.
18,000, we could tap it out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Alan had made this point way on, early on. I think this is really an essential thing. I mean,
Oh,
I really think this is.
qualifies
Well,
as something that you
Yeah.
can use it towards.
Well, this is,
Recreation, outdoor recreation.
yeah, this is handicap accessibility that we're working on too. And that was actually mentioned in the ARPA
Mhm.
Right.
thing, was it, you know, so I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to use it for that.
No, and we have a little time to figure out the final amounts of money. But anyway, so we start our sign thing and we'll hear something at some point. But all the verbiage, real quickly, if you look at the sign, the verbiage is way
Yeah.
out of date. And so
And there's some misspelled.
yeah, then we've added signs, you know, like the dog on a leash and the other stuff, but no smoking, whatever.
No fireworks.
Yeah. Anyway, so be thinking about that, but go check it out. It's all done and approved. But, so Frank did the outlet. That's all done out here. The ventilation system got its outlet. It was in here Saturday or two ago. Got that down. MDOD, we do have the meeting set up for November 15th. So November 15th at 6 o'clock. I've talked to Devin and he speaks to the other log ski hand. So I think what they're going to do is, this is
What night of the week is that? It's
So
Wednesday night.
Tuesday, one week from voting night.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night, the 15th, 6 o'clock. Hopefully, they asked, I said I didn't think it would take much more than an hour, so you guys speak up, but they're going to start out with a presentation. One of them will be on the difference between a permanent light, a temporary light, some of the frustrations with this light, and what wouldn't be, you know, how it would be different with a permanent one. Because I think a lot of the people that come like the light, but they talk about the 3 seconds and the 5 minutes and the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing is, you know, it's about the Nequasset Road changing around down here. It's just to get some feedback, but they're gonna start by talking and maybe answer a bunch of questions before they're asked.
On my way down here tonight, there was a 1-ton pickup with a flatbed on the back of it, towing it. 1-ton dump truck, towing a flatbed trailer with logs on it. And the car going downhill had to stop to let him get around that corner.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
could not make the turn without being right over,
Yeah.
nose to nose with the car coming down over the hill. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we definitely need to do something.
Yeah, this is, that's right, this is gonna be really difficult this
So-
winter.
Yeah, related to that, I heard from people down on Everdow, and they were wondering, and Jim Nealon actually was wondering if it would be possible to somehow do a video link of this meeting for people who can't make it. I actually thought maybe I'd ask him to set it up, because he knows how to do that stuff. Any objection to that?
Well, the only thing I can think of there is, would we have the meeting in this room, or do we have to have it somewhere where there's, I mean, we talked about that, like, we don't really know how many people come.
Well, that was my thinking. I was thinking we'd have to use the church across the street in case, if we get the whole neighborhood shows up. I mean, it was pretty much a packed house the night we had the first meeting over there.
Yeah.
I think there'll be just as much interest this time. So I would think we'd have to have,
And there is still a lot of misinformation about, reading whoever said, the light, no, we're gonna reconnect
I
this
know.
road, and we're gonna, light is just temporary, and so you could be right, David.
yeah, I think we'd have to use the church or the
Yeah.
school. If we could
I know, I thought about the school too.
If we
Colder.
could get to school that night, we might be able to check when it's a Tuesday night. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing it till 6 o'clock. If we could get to school, if we could get the gym or even
The
the
cafeteria.
cafeteria. I mean, the night we had way back when we had a meeting up there in the cafeteria and it was pretty.
I think that's a good idea. I think the sound is terrible over there. Nobody uses a microphone, and
I
nobody
know,
can hear.
I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, the acoustics in that
Well,
church are terrible.
Restroom facilities and the temperature, I mean, not that you don't heat it, but whatever. Well, we
Can you check with the schools if we can get the school for the 15th?
we need to know that coming up fairly soon, because I think Alice and I were gonna still go door to door on the south end, because people have been asking, and then obviously when you advertise it or whatever, we only meet the week before, right? So we do have to figure that out.
Anything else?
No.
All right, I have something for you.
Oh.
Seeing as how we get along so well with Devon,
Oh,
the temporary bridges down there, when you're coming north and you hit the one on this side,
Yeah.
you think you're gonna cut both your front tires right
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I mean, it is dropped.
Oh, yeah, the
And
road's
the other
dropped.
thing is going south,
Yep,
the other one does the same thing
yep,
now.
on the long part.
Yeah.
They've got to shim it or
Yeah.
take a grinder over and grind the edge of the
well,
cement
no, the
down or
road's going,
something.
you're right, the road's going down. I saw it yesterday.
I hit that today coming back from Bath in my Jeep, and I really thought I was gonna flatten both my front tires, and I was only doing 29 miles an hour, so,
Yeah.
it's really, it's gotta be a 2-inch jump, It's getting as bad as this one out here.
That's not pretty good.
They fixed this one,
Yeah, I know, they didn't fix it great.
Well,
It's
Yeah.
still,
No.
it's better than it
They
was.
took the
but-
shim out, they took the bridge out and took the shim out.
Yeah, it's still, it's better than it was, but it's still quite a rough ride.
So one last thing on that note, there have been a lot of people complaining about the noise and the engine brake noise, so Devin said that at minimum during the construction project, DOT's policy is not to prohibit the use of engine brakes because they come on vehicles equipped, which frankly, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But they will be putting up orange and black signs fairly quickly here through this zone that ask you to limit your use or something like that, but not prohibit it. But we've had, Allison's had many people, and I've had many people that
Yeah,
I know.
I've had a few people reach out to me about it too, about the noise of the bridges.
somebody had asked Allison how to do away with the rumble strip during that spot. That's not gonna happen.
So, once they start sanding it this winter and it fills in some of the cracks,
Yeah.
maybe that will help.
Well, it's probably-
State don't use
I
sand.
know, right?
They don't use anything now.
All right,
no, that's-
I have nothing. Public comments, anybody want to talk to us about anything that's not on the agenda? If it's on the agenda, please wait for it to come up.
I just thought that,
You are up.
I don't wanna sound like an old man bitching, but what are we gonna do about the middle road? I know that I didn't get a chance to talk to you, I didn't talk to my wife a little bit. I wasn't home at the time, I meant to see you.
Yeah,
I don't wanna leave you out, cause you are,
Yeah. I think it's a horrible thing. Go ahead, I'll let you finish and I'll agree with you.
on my road, as you know, it's a racetrack. It's not a rural road anymore. I can see cars getting out of the ironworks. I sat there one day in my house just to see how many cars got out at that time. At 3:30 to 4:30, I counted 375 cars come by that house going north. That's how much traffic is going on that road. That road never had that much traffic.
And of course, they were all going the speed limit, right?
Yeah. Speed limit? I'm just gonna guess, okay? I can't tell you because I didn't have a speed thing, but I can tell you that they're going over 65, 70 miles an hour, some of them.
I don't doubt it.
And most of the biggest of them are probably doing 65, somewhere in that area. We have problems in the morning, the school bus picks up my grandson and another kid down the road, down Shelby's driveway, and he's picking up the kids. And the time he gets the kids on the bus, and brings the bus up over the hill, and he pulls in my driveway, he's let about 8 cars by
Yeah,
at that time. And then, no, this is the school time. He's got a train behind him, he's got to let them by. And same time in the afternoon, when he's dropping them off in the afternoon, there's a train behind him and he stops. He tries to get pulled over, and he can't do it down along the hill to let my kids off, or my grandson off. So he pulls into Kenny's driveway, which is the same thing happens there, lets the car goes by, and then he gets the kids off down over the hill, because there's so many cars coming both ways. It's not just one way, it's both ways. And again, Kenny's driveway and my driveway is probably harder for you to plow, because when you plow by, you plow out on the road. And the road stops off the tire, and it's all dirt. And I got this high to go up over my driveway onto the tire, because, you know, maybe the bus didn't do it all. It's just washing away because there's no apron on the road.
Yeah.
There's one thing about that middle road, I don't understand why they don't have an apron. I can go to Dresden and find roads, middle roads, get aprons on it. And I don't know how far, you probably can tell what is it, 3 or 4 feet you have to get over to get an apron.
No, so you're referring to paved shoulders, right?
Okay.
The shoulder, you're referring to paved.
I mean the shoulder.
So a paved, so yes, Allison and I and the board, and my father,
You can get down that road, anywhere on that road, and you're gonna drop
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
3 or 4 feet,
I've-
Dale can tell you that.
so
I
Alan,
flattened a tire.
yeah.
And-
So what happens is, Alan, whenever you have to leave the traveled way, so the road is narrowly paved and the white line is on the edge of the
Right.
road. So whenever traffic meets and goes off the road, that's why it erodes and they cause it to break off. If you never drove out there,
Yeah.
it would stay the way, it would stay perfect, right? So we have been after the state for years to 2-foot paved shoulders, 4-foot paved shoulders, some sort of paved, go wider than the traveled lane. But we just,
If you had something off that
oh
tire
yeah,
into my ditch, you know, I'm picking up chunks of tire
oh yeah. I'm plowing
in
them.
my field.
Oh
I
yeah,
mow my field with a lawnmower
yeah,
across from Kenny's house.
yeah.
I mow it every day, every week. And I have to check for pieces of tire
Yeah.
anywhere to 8 to 10 to 12 feet out. Because the gas hits that tire on the side, boom, it's just like a bullet. Puts it right into the field.
The problem is, of course, it's a state road and we can complain and yell and everything else, but to move the DOT is.
Every chance I get, I
Jack, you
have.
had a comment?
Well, I was just gonna support Alan here. I went to the DOT quite strongly with this problem, and all I was told was if the town of Woolwich wants to match
Yep.
money with the state, they'll take care of the road.
That's
Well, it
exactly.
certainly shouldn't and wouldn't be our obligation on a state road like that. We surely never couldn't afford that.
And that's
So
exactly.
therefore, with that said, they just kind of, well, we offered you a chance and
That's exactly what they told me, that there's a municipal partnership initiative,
Well,
and that we
that's a-
can match it, and it's
that's
like,
very poor attitude.
Well,
I agree.
You match Route 1?
No,
No.
so Alan,
Right.
well, wait a minute.
That's a state aid road that we're talking about.
Yeah,
up there.
so what
This
they,
is a state road, I understand that.
yeah, so what they
Must
do
be
is,
something different there.
yeah, what they do is they do it by classification.
Yeah,
So they're telling my father, us, the board, whatever, that 127 is whatever the classification
I
was.
see, I think.
And we're saying, well, it's changed. It's not the same as it was in 1970.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're requesting them, and they're like, oh, no, the next level is way, way up.
Well, and they also said the next level wouldn't get us much more.
Yeah, and so but I agree with you. It's like, there is way more traffic.
They call it,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Minor Collector Road, what's that?
Up in Dresden, not Dresden, not just Dresden. What's the town up there?
Pittston?
Pittston, Chelsea,
Pittston,
Windsor.
No, it's on the left, across the river.
Richmond.
Oh, Richmond.
Richmond. I went out in the town of Richmond, and I drove from there to Thompson
Yeah, out 24, yeah,
Highway.
yeah.
All kinds of room on the sides to pull over to get a flat tire or anything. That's not a state aid road, is it?
Don't worry, I've been pushing Allison on this one, right? When you
No,
drive it.
no, I'm just,
Yeah, no, you're right.
and I was out there, I haven't been out there for years.
Yeah,
And I was out there 2 years ago, and every one of those outside roads out there are paved boulevards.
yeah.
Get sides, get the aprons on the sides of the roads and everything, and they go all the way to Thompson.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
Same thing, what sparked it in my mind was I was driving up to Farmington, And 27, which was, north of Augusta, which was about empty
Yeah.
compared to what what we see on Middle Road, was like, how come they have all these nice shoulders? And this is when we learned, they told us about the
Well-
specifications, that they said they would put a counter on it. We need to follow up on that, because we never heard back from them about if a count changed,
Yeah.
the classification,
Well-
so I can take care of that.
Right, and what I tried to point out with you, and we all know, is the exact same road in Rouseck and Georgetown, parts of Georgetown, are way different than our road.
Yeah.
So as soon as you go off the bridge and head down to Rouseck, right, you go places, you've got beautiful, all the way up by the town hall.
Yeah,
all
but
the-
only that far.
Well, right, but
Georgetown is worse.
there are certain sections where they have paved shoulders, minor road, and we
Yeah.
have way more traffic, way more traffic.
I'd like to see the difference between the traffic.
They got more traffic down there.
No, I meant we have way more
Oh,
traffic.
God, we
I'd
got
like to see the volume of traffic
100 times more than they got.
on
But
one
they had a
twenty-seven
governor
versus
that had a
27.
summer home down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what I asked her.
I think we have more on 127 than they do on 27. And they spend millions of dollars over that maybe.
Rouseck also paid for their shoulders.
Oh, they
Rouseck did what?
the partnership thing?
Yes. I think Jackie was leading you down the highway of saying that they just want more money, but I just can't see it. I can't see it. That road has been there for over 75 years, more than, I've been here 76 years, and I've lived on that road most of my life, and you have.
And I
And
wouldn't
I
have
don't
to-
understand it, it has not changed in that long a time. Something's wrong. And I think the state is backing up somewhere, because that's not right.
I
Well,
don't disagree
maybe
with
we-
Is
you.
there any way that anybody can get a bill?
Well, it comes out of the, what I'm gonna do is follow up, and we're gonna need data. So what I'm gonna do with, Jason is follow up with DOT about at least getting a count for these. How many cars are actually doing it compared to other roads, like the road in
Okay.
Richmond
I'm
and
gonna
the,
stop you for a minute. They put one thing across the road, and that was right before my old mother's house down on the marsh.
Yeah.
He stayed there for 2 days.
yeah,
And that's it. That's not long enough.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, right now, that's not the only place that they can put that.
oh, I know.
There's other roads in between.
Yeah.
They need to put off roads, they need to put how many cars go over there, on which side of the road, are they going over the mountain road? Are they going straight ahead, are they going over the crossroad, or where are they going? You can't just put it in one place on that road.
I don't know how they typically do.
I just don't know.
Allison, if we
All you
don't
gotta
know.
do is be down by Cumberland Farms when the DIW lets out, because the left turn lane backs up right all the way back onto the bridge.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, I mean, there's gotta be 200-300 cars
Yeah.
lined up there to turn left.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. So, I mean,
Well, there's no question, there's
They
no
use-
question. that
They use that ditch lane
Right,
for a
exactly.
third lane one.
Well, a turn lane.
There's 3 lanes of traffic with a,
No, you're right, they have a
Really?
three-quarter mile turning lane is what that is, all the way to the.
and not only that, your road, and Dave's Ferry Road, ain't any better than ours.
Yeah.
It's funny, they can find money for an $8 million water
If
line.
you go up 128, and you get up further back up in northern end, before you get into Dresden, that road ain't any better than ours.
Well, and Dresden's road isn't it?
That's the 2 major roads to go to Augusta. The shortest route, and Bill was telling me, the shortest route from Augusta to downtown here is the middle road. There's no way of getting around it.
Yeah.
It's
Except I don't like
either
driving,
127 or
so
128,
Wisconsin,
that's the shortest way to get,
Yeah.
not going to Wisconsin,
But
which
that's-
is stupid,
Yeah.
because you get over there, you got a wicked train. You never get out of that place.
Well, not if you leave at 3:30 in the morning.
Alan, we'll do our best to do
Yeah.
something about it.
Thank you for
We've gotta
bringing it.
move along here tonight, but
Yeah, I just saw it.
you have to understand that you're not the only person that's approaching.
It's pretty frustrating, man.
We're trying,
Yeah, yeah.
we're trying. It's hard to get DOT to move sometimes. But
Thank you for-
we will keep on it.
Thank you for bringing it
I
to
don't
us.
know what you can do, but if you, whatever you can do.
I picked up on something the other day, I had to go to Hartsville to a funeral. It's a dead-end road from Cook's Corner down, right?
Yeah,
It's paved shoulders all the way. A dead-end road.
I wonder if Hartsville's put some money in.
Are they putting a housing place in there?
Yeah, but the only trouble with that, real quick, I know we gotta move on, but the only trouble with that whole logic with DOT is.
Oh, I don't even think it's a good idea.
No, forget the paved shoulder for it. We're always, let's just say that that's an extra. We were always taught you should have two 12-foot travel lanes, right? So you go out there and we measured it. My father and I have been out with DOT guys and walked right across up by Sam Moore Road, different places. You've got varying widths of the travel lane. So what happens is they don't stay in the lane. You know, we drive wide vehicles or we go width vehicles. You guys drive the fire trucks, ambulance, whatever. And you can't stay in your lane. So they already have a poorly designed road before we even get to the shoulders, right?
So it's not even 12 foot?
No, that's why, so coming north, going up where you were talking about, going across the marsh, start up, going north towards the Nequasa Road, everybody leaves the pavement right there, because they meet a car coming down, and everybody's over the line, and everybody's going off the road a little, and it's.
So it's not even.
From
You
Allen's,
know, you know where my mail office is, when I turn into my driveway?
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking way ahead of me, and I'm looking at trees
Yeah.
across the road. Road's gone.
Yeah.
from Allen's driveway, Holly Wright's old place, north, there's been nothing done to that road since I was a kid. And I've been here quite a while.
I'm the same age as he is, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that.
So
When
that's
you
a
say
been there a long
nothing
time.
done, it's been paved.
Yeah, paved, but not improved.
But I've lived in
Yeah,
this town.
Okay, I just didn't know what you were talking
No,
about.
but the cars are white, I mean, we got more traffic.
Well, what we're doing is we're losing lane width.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at with DOT is the argument should be, okay, I get it, we want 4-foot paved shoulders, whatever, the town needs to pony up some money. What we're saying is, you have an obligation to have full travel lanes
That's-
that are safe.
Fulfilling their obligation.
Yeah,
Okay, I've lived in this town for over 40 years, and there's been no major construction on that road in the entire time I've lived in the town. Yes, they've come down and put 5/8 of an inch of hot top on it every 10 years, but that's all they've done.
Because it's
When I pull on my driveway-
Class C road, that's what they get.
And you look both ways, you look down to Dale's Lane, and you look up the other way, I have to look back again, and guess where our car is?
oh, yeah.
Right by my driveway. Just like that, you don't even see them.
All right.
You gotta look twice,
Yeah.
3 times, get out of my driveway.
We
Well,
can
if you
beat
see a
this.
black Volvo with me,
I'm moving.
All right.
because I drive that.
We've got to move on, we can beat this horse all night, but.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
We will stay on it.
Yeah.
Road Commissioners report, Jack.
Do you have anything for me? Okay. First, I'd like to thank the fire department for their great participation. Even I saw the pretty boy over here on Meadow Road the other night, and which was very nice. And they're wonderful people to work with. Secondly, we did the big culverts up on East Edge the day of the holiday Monday, and they come out well. And thirdly, the big box culvert on the railroad at the Meadow Road was plugged by beavers, I assume. And we had to clean that out, which we did. But other than that, I guess we're in pretty good shape for,
No major storm damage or anything?
well, no, we had trees, limbs, whatever, but that's just normal maintenance that we've done, and, no problems that I can see.
Good. Any questions for Jack?
What's he gonna do off the middle road?
See what I do? You let me, give me some money,
I
I'll
used
get
to
it.
like you.
I'm trying to help you road.
On that note, we're gonna move on. Tom McKenzie, Codes Office, any reports, Tom? Okay, must not been much going on. Brian?
Since the last meeting, we had 14 calls, 8 were transports, 6 no transports, and MC1 was utilized 3 times. Other than that, things are continuing.
Brian, did you get my message I left on your answering machine there a while ago about the article that was in the Wiscasset paper?
Yeah, I did. I
The
saw that.
Wiscasset said they're paying $800 for mutual aid.
My guess is that would be from Gardner, because I know Gardner was charging that to, shoot.
My reaction was, we're certainly not getting $800 a
Yeah,
call.
no, I know Gardner was charging that much. which kind of makes sense based on how far they have to
How about Lincoln
travel.
County, they wouldn't be getting charged like that in my county?
Doubt it. I can ask though, I know the director, so
I mean, it's
can reach
just
out.
curiosity on my part, but I was just, when I saw that, I know that we give them a lot of mutual aid, and we're certainly not getting $800 a call when we go over there.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, that whole process, it's such an ebb and flow, we haven't been over there in a little bit, so it's hard, you know, it's the same thing, we're not making widgets, we can't predict it, so.
Okay. I just, curious, I saw that in the paper and I'm thinking, boy, that doesn't add up. Anybody have any questions for Brian? Okay. Sean?
We had 9 calls since the last meeting, six or seven of those were on the storm. Thanks, I appreciate the road commissioner for coming out and bringing us a few signs, that was appreciated. We had Meadow Road closed overnight, well, not overnight, into the later evening, one day, waiting for CMP to take care of that. No major damage, just limbs and stuff like that. So that's good. Glenn talked to Dale Reno about the front of the building. Sounds like he's gonna get us a quote to do some repairs to the front of the building. Bays, the trim work, fix the gutter, a couple of things like that. I'm still waiting for PDQ to get back to me on a date and time on when they can come and service the garage doors and adjust them. So working on that. We're going to be attending fire prevention at school Friday this coming week. I have to get a few folks together to do that for the principal, which they're very grateful for, as well as I think it's the last week of the month in October. I'm going to be going over in the evening. They're doing some kind of a evening kids event out in the field. They're looking for some lighting, so I'm going to bring over engine 2 with the big light, and then a couple of our other lights to kind of help set up for them, so they have some lighting outside.
Is that for the fun run or glow?
I think so. Yes, glow.
Yeah.
They've mentioned the glow sticks and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah. So we're going to help with that, and then. I got a request from a realtor last week, and I spoke to Jason about this. They're selling a plot of land over on Old Stage Road, just before you meet the Meadow Road, Old Stage Road intersection. There is a right-of-way in there to a dry hydrant. Dry hydrant was put in 1970.
Should be 2006 or something.
But okay, the development was put in back then, the pond.
So real quickly, you guys were on the board, it was Al Austin subdivision, you know, when he did the old Meadow corner, all the subdivisions. It was the recommendation of the fire chief at that time to put a hydrant in that small pond, which we ended up doing it, but
That's
yeah,
the
we
pond,
got some pictures,
and
yeah.
that's the dry hydrant.
So Sean had called me the other day about, I guess, it's not really a viable water source, and it's gonna,
Not enough water.
no, well, not, I guess today with the way things are done, and the
Yeah.
hydrant at the end of the Route 1 there by Monswig and our pond or whatever.
It's, the other thing, it hasn't been maintained, I mean, I've been here 11 years and I didn't know it was there till last week. So it hasn't been maintained, so I can just imagine how much silt and stuff is there. And then today, I had one of the forest rangers come down. No, so the part of the problem, like I said, it's not accessible right now. It hasn't been upcapped, so who knows how much silt is coming in that pond. And today, just myself walking it a little bit, it's almost, I think it's too far away. I don't think I have a truck up down there in the bay that could pull out of it. Because it's probably, from where the pipe comes out of the ground, it's probably 50 feet to the pond. Trucks don't pull 50 feet very much. They're good at 20, 25 feet. You pull 50 feet and that's a pull.
How big a job is it to get the equipment out of the pond? Can you just pull it out or?
I think that's what well, whatever. you'd have to
Yeah,
have
that'd be
somebody
something you
back
guys
or
have to
something,
assume
yeah.
some equipment to do it or something.
No, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, so I was,
I think it's same thing, didn't the Demers use the same element on Saunders Road? We took that
yeah,
away.
well, wait a minute, so we had Murphy Corner Road,
Yeah.
Murphy Corner Road didn't work out because there was never depth enough of water, right?
Yeah.
Then on Sanders Road, there's the one, you and I talked about that the
Yeah.
other day. They were all good ideas when they were put in, in former fire,
There used to be one of McIntyre's.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it may still be there, but I
Yeah,
don't,
that isn't useful.
I don't think you can ever take water out of that. On the One Street Road, the little pond
Yeah.
by the road,
Yeah.
That isn't,
You couldn't get enough
Not enough
water
water in there anyway.
to, yeah.
And that,
So what-
that's gotta be 50 or 100 feet off the road.
Well, I mean, I know how this works, like, by the time you got set up and got going, you wouldn't get
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Not enough water to,
Yeah.
so what he was saying, Allison, real quick, was to save the material, that's what he meant by,
Oh, okay.
The piping, the piping and all the.
yeah, all that stuff, that's this
Okay.
fancy
Put it this way,
flat.
if it's the position of the fire chief that is a useless piece of equipment and it should be removed, then we will remove it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and just like I said, I'd like to just keep it in case, you know, down the road
Well,
we have a.
we can store the equipment somewhere.
They still have there's still funds in the dry hydrant account, you remember that account that was for all those things, and every time there was whatever, but I haven't talked to my dad or what was gonna do it, but it's not much, it's not a big deal.
And well under $10,000.
Yeah, right. And that's not a lie, it's well under.
We have a dry hydrant up by Union Bridge now, right?
Yes, yeah, that one you use,
Yeah.
at the north end of the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Would it make sense to put a second one up there on the other side of the road?
We can drag it out of the lake if we have to. That one, I can sit on the bridge and pull it out of the lake if we had a big enough fire, but, yeah.
And ours always works out, right?
What's that?
The one at our pond,
Yeah, oh yeah, that
I
one,
mean,
yeah.
that's a
That's my favorite
critical,
one.
yeah. The trouble is with these is you don't have depth enough, so then
Yeah.
he said they silt
They
in,
silt out.
cover up the end, so what do they do in an emergency? Go hook up to it and find out
Well,
what.
you couldn't get in there with a fire truck.
No.
Oh, never.
Once, like anything, once if
You
it's
could, you
sucking
wouldn't be
air
able
from
to.
the top,
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah, right, you don't wanna waste much time fooling around trying to get water.
All right, anything else, Sean?
That's all I got, I think, yeah.
You guys can yank that out first.
Well, yeah, whatever you wanna do, I just told
Yeah,
them, wait
just-
for the board and,
Yeah.
If you wanna remove it, just say so, and we'll just get it done.
Yeah, they'll say how.
yeah, is there a closing on the land or?
The realtor wanted me to let him know, I think they have to do it by Friday this week, so I'll get back to him tomorrow and let him know that we'll.
Yeah, and that would probably make it more appealing, right? Because what I remember
Yeah.
that condition was for the fire department.
Yeah,
Because we had that discussion about the neighbor
yeah,
parking the truck there. and
Yeah.
Thought it was open to the public, but it's not public,
It's
it
not
was for
public.
you guys.
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Anything else, Sean?
Nope, that's it.
Old business, anybody got anything on the old business?
Yeah, I just wanted to let the board know that, I submitted information to the Office of Marijuana Policy for reimbursement, and we're getting back $3,640.
Go, Kim.
Yes.
Thank you.
So now
It's the Office of Cannabis Policy now.
I am ready.
Let's not get picky, okay? She
Marijuana
got it to the right
cannabis.
place.
I,
The check's okay.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Do you want to tell them about the update on the closet?
Oh, the closet, yes. I finally heard back from the mold company, and it is going to be $2,000 to fix the closet, which they're going to remove the floor altogether. They're going to take the sheetrock out, and they're gonna disinfect it, everything, all that fun stuff, so.
Well, I think we just found a way to spend 2,000 of that 3,640.
Hey.
We're gonna take our pot money, we're gonna move it over.
That's right,
Hey,
Pot
it's
to
green,
mold.
it's green, they're both green, mold and pot, right?
that's
Both green.
right.
I mean, what more do you
At
want?
least I'm making money to spend
I
the
know,
money, right?
yeah.
Well, I suppose we'll have to actually take it out of the building fund, which we
Yes.
need to do, but, check with the auditors and see what we can do with that $3,640, where we can put it. If we could put it back into our building fund, that would be great, right?
Well, I would think that, so I don't know where we stand, so that, to substantiate that, that was advertising for the ordinance, you know, that was the
A
legal
lot of those
fees.
legal fees.
So I don't know where
I
we're
would
at.
think it's gotta go back to all that stuff.
Or contingency if we ended up going over, I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know, you have to
I
figure.
did put administrative pay in there.
Yeah, well, you did though, right? No, you didn't, so,
Insurance doesn't cover any of that.
we have $1,000 deductible. So that, Kim hasn't done anything yet, only she and I have talked about it, you guys can all decide, but if we have $1,000 deductible, we put in a $3,200 claim, or we.
Yeah, because then we're gonna do the flooring, so that's another $1,600.
So what do you wanna do, and I don't know,
So we've just
The
spent,
problem if we put in a
we got
claim,
$40 left
we're
out
gonna
of
see-
36.
we're gonna see our rates go up, but it might be worth asking the insurance company if they would cover any of it, but the rest of it, we're gonna have to take it either out of contingency or the building fund,
yeah.
one or the other, but we gotta fix it. There's no question about it.
And just a reminder, the building fund is pretty low.
Anytime you get involved with mold or asbestos, the numbers are always ridiculously high. so there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, so is this gonna take, do we know what caused it? Was it the leaky sink?
Yes.
And it's
Okay.
just in a closet that gets no air, so,
Okay.
it'd be nice if you could come and put one of the, after the mold goes away.
Once they get done with it,
After, don't put a brief.
once they get done putting the floor in and everything, I'm gonna have to cut some off the door anyways. I'll take the door outdoors, I'll cut a hole in it, I'll just buy a soffit then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if they're gonna even have to, if you're gonna have to plane the door, because they're gonna remove the floor altogether.
Are they?
So Jason said it's just concrete under there. So if they come in and put that in flooring, I think it's gonna be,
Okay.
I don't think you'll
cut
have
the
to.
bottom off
I
the
think
floor,
you'll be
I'll
fine.
still put some sort
Yeah.
of grade.
Well, like that over there, just like that over there.
Yeah,
Because what happened, it all happened because there was a water leak. And then no ventilation.
Yeah.
Made a nice little habitat for
yeah.
and you saw it.
The
Well,
only
we
thing,
were-
if I put a metal one on like that, we're gonna have to get, is that a solid door or core door? I think it's a core door, so.
Isn't it like the bathroom door? What
But
was
it
the
is,
bathroom
I'll
door?
fix it. I'll get it fixed one way or the other.
Okay.
So the other thing I want to mention, Kim,
Or anything else on the old business
well,
before we move on?
so you may have noticed the painting and the staining and the things that.
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to say, the young fellow that did that,
Did a
deck
great
out there did a great job of it.
Thank you. I picked the colors.
And you know what it is,
nice
it's,
We won't talk about the color.
I like the colors, very nice.
I warned Kim.
You
never gonna go like
It's like the time- Remember the time Lloyd painted the front door purple?
Yeah.
Why? That, you don't like the color?
I
So-
like the
so-
color.
so
I
what
think
it-
it was very nice.
But just so everybody knows, there's a fellow doing community service.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
Yes.
if you- Alan, you didn't know, but,
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so he's done a really good job and came up with some projects to do and.
You know what they say about people who like that color?
What about it?
Now, you don't-
Spill the beans there, Jack.
Come get you on TV.
I made the mistake of painting a dinghy that color. I took more grief over that dinghy than anything else.
I love it.
Seriously? Is it really that bad?
Means nothing to me.
Anyway,
Okay,
okay.
keep going. Anything else? All right, letter of support for broadband planning grant. I have a letter here in front of me that requires my signature. It's to support the Maine Connectivity Authority.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to have me sign this?
Second,
Those in favor?
and actually, it doesn't, it's not, I can't remember how Tommy described it, but it doesn't give us any money, but just joining this partnership gives us access to all of this, and.
It's one of the things
I thought it was, what, it says up to 10,000 for community to fund
Yeah.
local engagement efforts.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody have anything on the new business? Going once?
Did we ever iron out the meeting night? No, it's the next meeting night falls on the night before voting, right?
yes, we were gonna meet at 5 o'clock.
That's right, so we're all good with that, I mean, that's what we're gonna do.
And we're gonna log on the
We're
7th.
gonna set,
8:30
right,
school.
we'll set up at 3:30, right, meet at 3:30? Select board meeting at 5 o'clock, try to get done sooner,
Nothing on the agenda.
short agenda.
Allison has nothing to say.
She's not allowed.
Or Jason.
Yeah.
Jason's cutting it short.
Trying to do it in a public forum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, November 15th is a meeting. You guys might want to attend that. Tuesday, November 15th at 6 PM.
Yeah.
We're going to have a meeting. We're going to try to have it at the school.
Yeah.
That's about the road closure here and the permanent lights and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys might,
I'll be
if
there.
you guys could be there and give us your 2 cents worth on what's going on, that would be great.
Bring one too.
It'll come better if it doesn't come from me because of my other job. But if you go on Maine DOT, there's an online crash portal that you can go on and you can look at crash data at intersections and roads, like sections of roads. The board may want to take a strong look at that, where we had, I think it was 2 crashes at that intersection all of last year, and we're at like 8 this year. So I think it just, with my other job, that may not look the best coming from me, so that might be something that someone else may want to pick up. It's like a public crash query tool, And if you just look that up, you can look at historically, year over year over year, how many crashes have been at that intersection or between the two sections of roads that you're looking at. It's very telling. in my opinion.
So does that indicate that does that indicate a reason to oppose the light? And I'm not asking you for your opinion, I'm just saying is that,
Yeah, I don't know what it really says, I just, maybe they need to do better advanced warning of
right,
the light. and-
Yeah.
Or lower the speed limit rule.
like.
Yeah, exactly, there's
Yes.
other factors that.
I can tell you, if there'd been somebody sitting beside me one morning, the tractor trailer that didn't stop until I was looking at his hubcap beside my window, his choice would have been either killing me or the guy in the lane beside me.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got stories. I was coming through on Saturday morning, and there was a fellow in front of me that was going below the speed limit from about the Taste of Maine to the intersection. I put my blinker on to turn right onto the closet, and the individual behind me used the left turn lane as his opportunity to make the pass and almost caused a head-on coming the other way. Thankfully, there was no one in the left turn southbound.
Right.
Would have been a bad crash, but I'll try to make that meeting. I'm at a training that week and the week before at the academy, but
Well, yeah,
Does Joel know about the meeting?
I can check tomorrow. I can check when I see him. He's out again.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows a whole lot with us yet. What they're gonna do, Brian, and we started the meeting off real quick on that, is, this is a temporary light, obviously, for construction. So I talked to Devin and talked to this other fellow and said, the first thing you ought to do with the meeting is show, you've got this
What
$1
permanent-
million budget for a new permanent light. What would it entail? What would the intersection look like? Where would the paved turn lanes, where would the lighting be?
And what kind of advance warning would it be?
Because that's all Devin keeps telling us, is like, listen, this one is, I don't wanna say crappy, but it doesn't respond right, doesn't work right with your emergency vehicles, right?
Right.
And there's differences between this and what would be there permanently.
The amazing thing of it is, a lot of the people that I've seen run the light are locals,
Oh, yeah.
that know the light's there. I mean, I sat on this side of the, leaving one of these meetings a month or so ago, and I watched a young lady come down from the school area,
Yeah.
right through a red light,
Yeah.
right out, made a left to go to Wiscasset. Guy in a pickup truck, if he hadn't have been real quick on his brakes, he would have got him,
Some people are just,
It's the same jockeying that we've all talked about when the merge went from on the bridge to further back and now further back where it is. It's that jockeying in position, that last chance to get around someone so that you're not behind them until, Edgecombe, when you get a chance to go around them just before the parking ride there. So I don't know. My frustration would be that I don't necessarily know about engineers being, on paper it may look right to an engineer, but in the actual use of the intersection, it would need to change significantly for it to be a safe intersection, in my opinion.
So what's gonna happen with all the signage when we start plowing?
I know, I was wondering the
What's
same.
gonna happen to the first plow that hits the new bridge headed south?
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. You hit those temporary bridges, you'll cut your front tires if you hit them.
It's amazing that we have to, David's like, call them up and tell them the lip's sticking up again. It's like, okay.
It's
But
like Nathan.
it's like they're there every day. No, you're
Yeah, I
right.
know.
I mean, like, Dad, but they're there every day, but
They get fined if they shut down traffic,
Yeah.
so that's not saying that's the reason.
no
but
paving at night. What are we
that's
gonna
the
do?
reason.
Yeah.
The last time they did it for 45 minutes,
But
it's
you
a
know,
short
instead
bridge.
of keep
Yeah,
trying to
I know, I was
bring
sitting
the
in that
paving up,
traffic.
why don't you shave, why don't you just bevel the edge of the cement?
Well, the trouble is, David, the road is actually going down.
I know, the road's
So it
going
just
down.
keeps going down.
But if they bevel the edge of the cement, it'd be like driving up into your garage, you know?
yeah, I was wondering the same thing about those signs.
It'll be interesting.
It's gonna be up over the bank and.
I'll be doing some slipping and sliding down there.